As a taxpayer, this is probably not something you want to see. Rail cars hauling pricey military equipment off the rails and on the ground. This happened in Colorado Springs, Colorado on October 9, 2023, not far from Fort Carson. These photos are courtesy of the Strathmore Hills Fire District. According to 4th Infantry Division Public Affairs Officer Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Payton, the train was headed back to Fort Carson from Fort Irwin in California. Fort Irwin is home to the National Training Center. It's unclear to me who owns the tracks here, but Colonel Payton said both Union Pacific and BNSF both responded to the scene after the derailment. He also said no soldiers or civilians were injured, and there were no weapons or hazardous materials on the train.
Yes, 45507 clear. Southern Tucker 3396.
Now, it's pretty common to see military equipment transported by rail. I caught this train passing through Tucker, Georgia in September of 2023. This was hauling all kinds of vehicles, including what looked like armored military backhoes. Meanwhile, this train was hauling Bradley fighting vehicles. I saw it in Decatur, Georgia in January of 2023. Rail fan or not, trains like these get everyone's attention, and they may also raise some questions like, where did they go, or how are all those vehicles loaded? Well, trains like these may be headed to training exercises somewhere in the U.S. They could also be in transit from the factory to a military base. Other vehicles transported by rail could eventually be taken off the train and shipped overseas. And some trains carry supplies and munitions. Ultimately, railroads would be critical in mobilizing the country for war. They've been used by militaries around the world for well over 100 years. Some large military installations have railheads where equipment can be loaded and unloaded. And yeah, the U.S. Army and other branches of the military have their own locomotives. Ramps are typically used to load wheeled and tracked vehicles. Wheeled vehicles can roll from car to car using special bridges. Tracked vehicles don't need these. Cranes may also be used to load equipment, along with large forklifts. Everything is then secured to the rail cars. This is kind of like the military's version of Amtrak's auto train, although they've been doing it a lot longer than Amtrak. Operations like this don't just happen stateside. Members of the U.S. Armed Forces also move their vehicles and supplies by rail in other countries. This video shows soldiers unloading empty rocket pods in Poland. And this footage was shot at U.S. Army Garrison Humphreys in South Korea. Notice how, even though the rail cars are being used overseas, they still have U.S. markings. Back in Colorado Springs, it looks like whoever loaded these cars did a pretty good job. The trucks in the photos still appear to be chained down. Of course, I'll be looking out for the official cause of this derailment. The railroad or railroads involved will conduct an investigation, and the findings will eventually be posted on the FRA's website. Brandy Gill with Garrison Public Affairs tells me Fort Carson is not involved in the investigation. She also said all the military equipment involved in the derailment has now returned to Fort Carson. She said it would take some time to inspect all the vehicles, so they don't know the full extent of the damage to them just yet. Okay, if you want to learn more about the history of military trains, click on the link in the end screen of this video. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, thanks for watching.